10,000 engineers, Google Maps, and many other innovations across the company. So he's been kind enough to be part of the session and share some of the learnings as part of the journey. So I'm going to have a couple of questions that I'm going to ask him, and then open the floor for all of you on any questions that you want to ask him from his journey within Google or outside of Google. Thank you, Aman.
Thank you, Rahul. I'm very glad to be here. How's everyone doing? It's a joy. I came to see Rahul because one of your investors is a very close friend of mine. Many of them are very close friends, but one in particular, and he says, you absolutely must go see this company because this company is doing something that's very special. So believe it or not, I was here last year saying hello to Rahul, and I'm back. I'm not associated with the company either as an investor or anything, but I just love visiting Rahul, and he gives me energy that he gives all of you too. So thank you, Rahul, for having me here.
Thank you, Aman. So I'll start with, I think, a quick icebreaker, and I think a question probably you get asked a lot. What will it take for India to start to build companies which are of the size and scale thinking, like a Google, Apple, Facebook, Alibaba, some of these companies which have become some of the dominant global forces?
Yeah, no, this is a question I think about all the time. What would it take for India to build the first $100 billion company, right? You know, that's kind of my benchmark for a company being really having made it. There are systematic things that have to change in the system, but the first and foremost is indeed the hardest, which is per capita GDP. Okay, per capita GDP in this country is $1,600. It's $8,000 in China. So we compare ourselves to China all the time because, you know, we say we are 1.3 billion people, they are 1.3 billion people. Why do we not have an Alibaba? And the simple fact is that those guys make 5 times the money than we do. And disposable income arrives after about $3,000 in per capita GDP. So even though we say that, you know, we are the same number of people, and why is their market cap, why isn't our market cap at least 1/5 of Alibaba's? And the answer is that there is a knee in the curve at $3,000 GDP in a country. Once a country hits a $3,000 GDP per capita, it starts taking off. We have ways to go. So that's the first thing that will have to change, and you know, we are all contributing, but that will take its own time. In addition, India has to shift from a service mindset to a product mindset. And that is happening. I'm very happy to report that. I've invested in about 15 companies here, and I'm friends with numerous companies. That is happening. I'm very sure that in next 3 to 5 years, people here will be building amazing product, which is happening in China already, for example. And so the process is, these are the 2 factors. The second one is under our control. All of you contribute to it. And the first one is a slow process given where we are. And there are lots of country issues like governance and so on and so forth. But it's a matter of time. And I think collectively we can accelerate that process, which is what we are doing. So those are the 2 things I see.
So one of the questions I think our tech team, we continue to ask, Google was #1 in search engine by 2002 or 2001, and some of the early naysayers like Yahoo and others who lost the bus were struggling. But then there was, and that continues to be true, there is more than 17 to 18 years of technology innovation that has happened. How do you kind of think about it when you are #1 and looking at what more you should do and drive your team and engineering towards it?
Yeah. So it's not just about engineering, it's about entire company. One rule that I everyone at Google always had is that never expect your competition to stumble. Because good people, your friends work at your competition. They are good people. They are from the same colleges as you and I. They will do good work. They will not stumble. So the only way you win is by outrunning the competition. There is no other way. Okay? And to outrun the competition, you have to constantly think about, if I were to do this company or what this area does, how would I outdo Moglix? If you constantly think about that the Moglix killer should come from within Moglix, you'll be fine. Okay? So, an example in Google would be, how do you transition a company from a desktop company, which Google was, to a mobile company, because that could have killed it. And you basically say, how would I build something that could kill us from within? Because if the Moglix killer comes from Moglix, guess what? You will be the strongest company on this earth.
So would you believe that only the paranoid survive?
Absolutely, only the paranoid survive. No one else survives.
So I think there is a little bit touch upon competition, but I think one of the things, and I have learned at Google as well, that competition is not what seems as a direct competition. So Yahoo search was not the only thing that Google was competing or being a competition. So how to think about competition and how to think about the defensive forces that you may build as an organization towards competition that is coming from sideways.
This is an age-old question, and every company has fallen prey to seeing things, not being able to find things that come from left field. And I can tell Google's follies too. It's not that Google hasn't made mistakes. How many people have read The Innovator's Dilemma? Okay. It's a Clayton Christensen book called The Innovator's Dilemma that talks about what got you here won't get you there. Okay, it's a classic book. Get a chance. It's an easy read. It gives many examples of why big steel mills died and so on and so forth. But basically, what makes you succeed? Competition will never come head on. A competition can never attack a company head on. And I'll give you examples. Microsoft tried with Bing to attack Google head on. Guess what happened? Okay? Google tried with G+ to attack Facebook head on. Guess what happened? Google tried with Allo and Duo to attack WhatsApp head on. Guess what happened? Competition never comes head on, at least the intelligent one, because they are always multiple years behind the leader. What you guys have learned today in building your centers, in building inventory, in optimizing inventory, it will take them 2 years to learn, and by then you will be running faster. Competition comes sideways. Competition comes sideways because Microsoft said, and I was there, Microsoft said search is not important. We have a good relationship with our search provider, and many of you don't even know this story, that there was a company called Inktomi that used to provide search to Microsoft. And Microsoft said, search is not important, someone's taking care of it for us. And guess what happened? Google said, social is not important. Would you rather hear from your friends or experts? And Google said, experts. Well, Facebook was born. Okay? Facebook said, fun is not important, political views are important. Instagram was born. Fortunately, they bought. Okay? Instagram said, video is not important, pictures are important, and Musically is born, or something like that is born. And now they are scrambling to shift to Instagram TV to deal with all those things. So you notice how what made them successful, that belief. Google's belief that you want to know if your knee hurts from an expert and not from a friend was a deep-rooted belief in search. But that allowed the birth of Facebook because, yeah, well, guess what? I like my friends too. So what gets you here will not get you there, and competition comes from what you ignore as a possibility because you have a core belief. And we have to constantly challenge our beliefs if we are going to build a company that would outlast all of us.
So any tips on how do you basically get yourself removed from these biases and beliefs which might hurt you as an organization?
Well, challenge Rahul every time you can, right? You know, I used to say, if anyone ever walks around in my organization telling someone to do something because Amit said so, bring them to my office and we'll fix it right now. Okay? You can't say because Rahul said so. You have to understand, if you believe in that, why Rahul said so, and then you don't say Rahul said so, you say I believe we need to do this, thus we should do this, or you challenge Rahul. It starts from the top.
Okay, so the other question I had was, talk us through one or two tough problems, either engineering or organization complexity that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
And a little bit, if you're open to talk about the scenario and then how did you think through and solve or manage that?
Let's see. I've faced numerous. Let me talk about what could have been life-threatening to Google. Okay, and how did we navigate that? Google was a company built on desktop where you would use a keyboard to type something and a mouse to click to go somewhere and read a whole bunch. Okay, Google was a desktop company. Then mobile came around and mobile just took off like wildfire. Okay, before Google knew, a significant proportion of its traffic was coming from mobile. Mobile is not a typed device. Typing on mobile is painful. Mobile is a tapped device, and reading on mobile long pages is painful. You want to have bite-sized information or entertainment consumed in 30 seconds while we are walking from one door to another, hoping not to hit someone while we are looking at a phone. Right? That's mobile. Okay? How do you transition a company born on desktop based upon reading of 5 links into a company where you can basically get what you want without having to type too much and consume without having to read too much? That was the challenge that could have been existential for Google, and at some point we all decided that we will help people type by doing predictive completion or any such thing, so that you type 3 letters instead of having to type a 20-letter query, and you tap on one thing. So you changed 20 taps to 4 taps. So we really started counting how many taps did I save the user, or you do speech recognition. You change the input modality, and we moved the search engine and we started calling it an answer engine, that will give you an answer. When someone says, how tall is Mount Everest? We won't say, go read that page. We will give you the answer, and Knowledge Graph was born. So that's a transition. It's a tough transition. But you have to see that these trends are coming and make that happen. And well, guess what? Some transitions we didn't make. Organizational transitions are also hard as companies grow. Should you have 2 parallel organization of product and engineering all directly reporting to the CEO, or should you have a more intermixed organization?
So I think on a great topic, so organization complexity, as we are transitioning ourselves over the last 1 year, we have gone from 2 sectors to 8 sectors. And then while we have Noida as the HQ, we still realize realize that even between the second floor where the engineering team sits to the first floor or a ground floor where business team sits, there is a communication gap that can start to emerge as organization grows. So how do you, one, as you continue to grow as an organization, enable better and faster and collaborative communication? And second, in terms of preserving the speed and agility of a small startup. So any tips that you would have for us?
So look, I wish I could tell that there was a magic wand to all this. Communication is hard. If you draw a wall on the same floor and make 6 doors in that wall, the 2 sides will stop talking and they will start talking through their managers. It's as simple as that. That's how it works. So how do you solve this very hard problem? The first rule that I practiced, I think it worked reasonably well, is that there is no such thing as over communication. As leader, we think, of course we know where we are taking the company. Of course, these are the 3 things we are trying to do. In our mind, it's clear because we, as a leader, we live it every day. But that never gets to the rank and file because the leader has told their reports, and then their reports may have internalized it, but the communication breaks down, and soon 3 levels down from the CEO, everyone starts feeling like a cog in a wheel. That's the worst feeling in an organization. So what I practiced was to write down, these are 3 of my priorities, and then the next layer would write down, these are 3 to 5 of my priorities, because not every one of their priorities should show up on my priority list. For example, 99.9% uptime of a website should not show up on Rahul's priority, it's on Pankaj's priority, right? So not every priority has to go all the way up, but everyone should see how they belong so that the chain is benefiting the company. And you write it down. I actually wrote down my priorities on my whiteboard. Anyone who walked in my office saw where we were taking the organization, and every leader had their priorities and my priorities hooked to their whiteboard / thumbtack saying, we are doing these 5 things. This is what these 3 things the company is doing, and this is how we fit in. And that gave a sense of belonging as you walked around. There is no easy way. People work together either due to reporting or due to co-location. And co-location is not always possible. Ahmedabad Center cannot be co-located with Noida. So you over-communicate. There's no easy answers, and it's going to be challenging. No company has figured out how to make this very smooth. IBM struggled for many years and eventually decided to ship their entire procurement to Asia, including EVP of procurement moved to China. Okay? They said, sorry, it's not working. It's not that decision makers can sit on the East Coast hoping China would behave. Doesn't work that way.
So I'm going to ask one more last question. So I know that post-Google you have been active in quite a few activities, not just startups, but also enabling education for children in the country, so on and so forth. So maybe just a 30-second on the work that you're doing and the change you're trying to bring in the country.
Yeah, the nearest to my heart is our foundation work, which finds very intelligent children who are not born in privilege. I was born in privilege, which is why I sit where I sit. However, there were people, children more intelligent than me, who were born to someone who worked in my house. And they did not see the future that I realized. Because intelligence is born, not beholden to rich and poor. And what we do is, we start our program in a city and we find the brightest of the underprivileged children, and we give them the same education that my children would get if we were living in that city. So for example, what we do is we reach out to government schools in 5th grade And just like Navodaya Vidyalaya, how many people know about Navodaya Vidyalayas in this country? Yes. So Navodaya Vidyalaya is a wonderful program that Rajiv Gandhi realized in 1986 and said our government schools are failing the brightest of our children. So Navodaya Vidyalaya started out saying we'll find the brightest of the rural children and we will build a Vidyalaya, we'll build a school, boarding school in every district, and we will give them great education. Amazing concept. However, if you see how the world is moving, there's increased urbanization. India is increasingly an urban country. It used to be 14% urban. It is now becoming north of 30% urban. And so Navodaya is a great scheme for the rural children, but there are no Navodaya Vidyalayas for urban children. You can think of us as doing the same thing for urban underprivileged children. So we take urban children, which we have numerous in this country, we find the ones who go to government school, the brightest ones of those end up in our program, and we partner with amazing schools in respective city. For example, in Indore we have partnered with Millennium School. In Jaipur we have partnered with Tagore International and Subodh Public School, which are really good schools. And we partner with these schools, and then we take care of every educational and non-educational need for these children, from busing, books, uniform, food, education, and after-school tuition. And we take them in 6th grade. Our biggest batch is in 9th grade right now, so I left Google to start this foundation. And we want to get them to 12th grade and make sure that they end up like one of us. Because I know if a child enters JEE or clears NEET, then their future is made, or CPA, or NLU, or NID, or NIFT. So it's not like they have to just become these two. But I know that if they get into one of these institutions, their future is made. My great-grandfather was very poor. He used to repair bicycle flaps on roadside with 4 sticks and a plastic sheet on top of him. He gave his son education, and who gave his children education? My father. And who gave us education? Education brought us from destitute poor family to where I'm sitting today. So what happened to my family in 4 generations, our foundation's trying to do for these children in 1.
Fantastic, great work there. So I'll open the floor for questions.
In terms of the data, nowadays everything is becoming digital, GST transactions, other transactions. Do you see a future when all these transactions are going to figure up in a search eventually?
So Rahul and I were talking about some of the problems you are having, okay? And what I believe is that what you guys are building, you're building so much IP that once you achieve data mapping from one catalog to another to so on and so forth, no one would be able to compete with you. What you're building as your database, search will be technology that can help you build the database, but what you are building as a database would be basically undefeatable if you can pull this off.
So another question related to that is in B2B e-commerce, what role do you see technology playing number one? Secondly, a lot of times we are afraid ourselves of using e-commerce services company for the lack of data protection policies, even though last Friday government has announced some measures that they're going to take, and how optimistic are you about that? Secondly, is there a data protection environment that you would suggest before anybody signs up with anybody, because it should not happen that my customer becomes my service partner?
Look, these are challenges unique to every business. Channel conflict is a well understood problem. I never went to management school, but apparently they teach channel conflict in management school. And your question is how does someone not feel channel conflict with us? At the end of the day, if you're true to your customer, you have to be true in your heart to your customer. You have to do right by your customer and your suppliers. If you do that, and you run this company the way you do with full integrity and honesty, I see no reason you won't be able to kind of navigate all those challenges, because they will keep coming as the company grows. There's no end of challenges, right? There are only harder challenges to solve. That's all. There's only harder problems to solve. That's all that happens to a company.
The data protection policy?
Look, I don't know enough about Indian data protection policy to say anything intelligent. Yeah.
Hello. Hi, sir. Actually, you just said that mobile is the most used device by everybody nowadays. Okay, so I just want to know, is AMD the better option to be implemented in e-commerce website?
Look, you're saying that should we implement an e-commerce website on mobile? Oh, AMP pages. AMP is one technology to have fast pages. Look, what AMP does is standardizes what most good website developers should have been doing anyway, like spriting your images, not having 20 open connections to download all your resources. AMP just makes it standard so that it makes it idiot proof, okay? And so you don't, you can use AMP if needed, but I believe you guys can build good optimized site for your own needs without AMP. AMP is just idiot proofing the process of having slow, stupid websites out there.
But let's say our website is being loaded in, not our website, any other website is being loaded in like 10 or 15 seconds. Okay. So user will bounce.
Absolutely.
Right? So is that a better option for those websites or not?
Oh, absolutely, right? Look, you have to figure out what is your load speed. If your load speed gets north of 5 or so seconds, you got a problem on mobile. And how do you get it? Through AMP or through writing your own spriting or whatnot is your call.
So you will prefer dynamic serving as well?
I'm sorry?
Dynamic serving.
Well, I'm now far enough from those nitty-gritties, but I'm just telling you, load time is important. AMP is a simple way where you don't have to learn too much to do it, but you can do everything AMP does and more yourself if you have the right people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You talked about how Google data, Google search engine, Google Maps, GPS. All of these are changes that we bring to the order. Some of the changes are fruitful, some not so much. What I want to understand is what are the small key things that you change that drive this new culture, that you are not afraid of changes, that you think of the new changes. What are the small things you change in the organization?
Now, this is the most important question. So as to how does an organization feel that people have the freedom to make change and innovate, and they are not just a cog in the wheel that is told what to do, okay? That thing is, you have to actually practice it. Everyone has to practice it. 20% time in Google is something that's talked about a lot. In truth, it's more like 5 to 7% time, because no one really has one day a week free. Rahul can back me up or confront me on that. Yeah. So basically, you all the leaders in the company, if you have people reporting to you, you should be asking them all the time, hey, what should we build as a company? Ignore what we do today. And yes, someone will say we should be building a particle accelerator. You'll say, thank you, great idea, but not in our scope. However, if it's remotely in our scope, we should at least, figure out, given our load and the small team that we have, at least 1, 2, or 3 things that come up organically that we build, and at least try and experiment with. If you don't do that, then people will feel my ideas will never see the light of day in this company, and that's a bad feeling.
You've been way back, so you would have seen how Google from, would have been a smaller organization back then, you take now, one of the challenges is that as a business team, a business, like you said, in terms of innovation, you want to do a lot of things, you want to experiment very small. you kind of decide should you go for that experimentation or not, so that it does not impact your business and still you're meeting the product?
Yeah, which is why I said I think Google's 20% time was famous as 20. In truth, it was closer to 5. Okay, and I think every company should afford 5 to 7% of their employee time to do things. And then the question is, should one employee do it? It's awesome if 3 or 4 people can get together and donate 5% of their time to build a prototype using duct tape and baling wire. Okay, writing on a piece of paper ain't no good. Okay, if 3 or 4 people can get together and build a prototype, then we can figure out if this prototype should get real staffing or not. But we should experiment with such 2 or 3 such ideas every quarter. It's not going to hurt us as a company. If anything, it will improve our productivity and mindset, even at this size. All I'm asking for 5-ish%. That's not too much to ask. Right?
The search has extremely pervasive right now. Startup, Google search, and now social network, e-commerce, any website or content creature becomes search. So how do you think for I think it started off with text. Now there's voice search, it made search. What do you think?
I'm sorry, I missed half the question.
What will be the future kind of?
What will be the
It
future?
went from text to search.
Oh, it went from text to voice to video to images to you name it. What would be the future of search? I think it's pretty open right now. The current bet people are making is on Alexas of the world. Okay, where you move from search to some kind of a thing that you can just tell what to do and it happens. So it moves from information and answer engine to action engine, like turn on the lights is the stupidest action that I already do in my house using Alexa. Okay, that's the current bet, and something may come out of left field if platform changes. The thing to watch out for is a platform change. AR, VR can be a platform change. That may make mobile devices not useful. I'm not betting on that, but is an example of something that other people are betting on. If that happens, what search morphs into is unclear. Platform changes bring about large disintermediation of existing players. So you have to watch out for platform changes there.
Just one more question. Microsoft trying to big, but what would Google when being a snapshot when it comes to big? Why would Google successful big?
Because Bing wanted to attack the leader head on. You never do that. Never attack the leader head on. They are a leader for a reason. And even if you launch something innovative, their distribution is so strong that they would copy it in 3 weeks and launch it, and you will have no edge. Never attack the leader head on.
So thanks a lot, Amit, for taking out this time. I'm sure we'll get to see you as you visit India more often. Very excited also about the work that you're doing with the foundation. So I think all of us believe it's part of one of the core themes that we talk about in Moglix. One of the key things is, are you passionate about Make in India? And I think this is one of those moments where we have seen the contributed work. There's a small memento.
Oh, thank you.
All of us. I don't know how we will supply chain. I don't know how we will.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me over.